Thank you for joining us as we dive headfirst into all things people, power, and politics. This is The Pulse. I'm Charlie Langton. The health care fight's still on, even as Democrats didn't get the win they hoped for in this shutdown battle. We're diving into what these Affordable Care Act subsidies going away could mean for people and their health care. Maureen Taylor with the Michigan Welfare Rights and Dr. Michael Bersueda will weigh in. And then Congressman John James now running for governor, which means that his congressional seat up for grabs. We're going to talk with one of the candidates, Robert Lugerai, about why he is running and his message for you. And that health care issue is where we will start tonight, because that's why Democrats said no deal more than a month ago, shutting down the government. They wanted those Affordable Care Act subsidies extended, but in the end, what they got was a promise to vote on it. No guarantee it passes, and what's more, no guarantee it ever reaches the House floor. Speaker Mike Johnson hasn't promised to put it into a vote in the lower chamber, but Democrats say the fight still on, despite what they see as a setback.
Our message to the American people is no matter what happens on the floor later on today, our promise to you remains the same. House Democrats will continue to fight to make your life more affordable.
All right, so here's the deal. The travel headaches caused by the shutdown could still remain for a while. Air traffic controllers have gone without pay for more than a month, and some have called out from work, and that's led to flight reductions across the country. Those will stay in place until the FAA says staffing levels are stable. On top of that, many planes aren't where they're supposed to be because of the disruptions, which could slow the return to normal even more.
They had complaints from pilots. The airline's pilots were saying, hey, FAA, I'm having different experiences with the controller. They're not responding to me as quickly. They seem stressed.
Air traffic controllers are required to be fit for duty. So these men and women have to decide and make these decisions. Am I ready and up to the task today, or do I fulfill my obligation to sick out?
What's really important for us is getting back to business. And what I mean by that is Thanksgiving is coming up.
Here's the thing. The government shut down again at the end of January. It's going to shut down there. If the health care issue is not addressed, Democrats left that possibility open. Some Republicans have said that they're open to extending the Affordable Care Act tax credits, but they want new limits on who can get subsidies. Stay tuned. All right, the same day the House returned to session was the first time in nearly 2 months. New emails were released by Democrats on the House Oversight Committee involving sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. According to those emails, he wrote to a journalist back in 2019 that President Trump, quote, knew about the girls and, quote, spent hours at Epstein's house with a sex trafficking victim. Now, we need to point out what the president allegedly knew and if it even pertained to Epstein's crimes. Not clear. President Trump has repeatedly denied knowing about Epstein's crimes and says he ended the relationship years ago. And we should also point out that while the name of the victim of President Trump allegedly spent time with, it's redacted, Republicans on the committee later said it's Virginia Giuffre. All right, she repeatedly said that Trump was not one of the men who victimized her. So the White House is blasting the release, while Democrats keep pushing for the release of all of the files.
It is not a coincidence that the Democrats leaked these emails to the fake news this morning ahead of Republicans reopening the government.
He campaigned on releasing all the Epstein files, obsessed about it. His vice president obsessed about it. And now the White House is involved in a massive cover-up, and we want to know why won't they release the files?
Epstein died of suicide awaiting trial back in 2019. His former girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, serving a prison sentence for her role in luring girls to be sexually abused by Epstein. The judge sentenced her to 20 years behind bars. According to CNN, House Speaker Mike Johnson says the House will vote next week whether to release those files. All right, a busy night of political news as always, so let's pick up the pace and run through some of the other big stories that we are following. Hundreds of people detained in the Chicago area could be released on bond. They were swept up in the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. The people detained would be out on bond while waiting for immigration hearings. The judge also said that he'd ordered 13 people to be fully released based on a 2022 consent decree, which outlines how immigration and customs enforcement can make warrantless arrests. And 2 Federal Reserve officials say they're against another interest rate cut. Rates have been cut in the last 2 months, but the officials say this time around, inflation is still elevated, but the economy is still resilient. President Trump has pressured the Fed to cut those interest rates. Another factor is the government shutdown, which has halted data and the Fed relies on. And the White House press secretary says that job inflation reports from last month will likely never see the light of day. And the Supreme Court agrees to decide if states can keep counting mail-in ballots that arrive late. A Mississippi panel ruled that violates federal election law. 16 states and D.C. accept mail-in ballots received after Election Day, as long as it's postmarked on or before Election Day. The case will be argued late winter or early spring, with a final ruling expected in June. All right, let's take you back to 1793, when the iconic coin, this iconic coin, was introduced. A penny. It could buy you a biscuit, a candle, piece of candy, a lot more than it can now. When was the last time you used a penny? Well, it's the end of an era. And as the U.S. Mint printed the last ever penny, the coins cost nearly 4 cents to make. And experts say that they're mainly stashed away now. Officials say most penny production ended over the summer, and the U.S. is far from alone. Other countries have eliminated their 1 cent piece, including Canada, which did it back in 2012.
Well, I think it's a great day. I mean, we're saving the taxpayers $56 million a year. That's big, and we're just doing what Donald Trump wants, common sense agenda. Although today we say goodbye to the continued production of our copper 1 cent coin, let me be crystal clear. The penny remains legal tender. We have over 300 billion pennies that remain in circulation, and we encourage you to use them.
I think it's a sad day. Anyway, in case you need the answer to the next question for the next time you play trivia, U.S. Treasurer Brandon Beach, says that the last coin to be discontinued, you know what it is? Anybody know what it is? The half-cent piece. That's right, it was a half-cent piece, and that was back in 1857. All right, we are headed back to the Capitol Hill after the break. A Metro Detroit congressman giving up his seat to run for governor. So we're going to talk to the man trying to take that seat. You are watching The Pulse on Fox 2. We are back now on The Pulse, looking at all things people, power, and politics. So we're here to talk about his run for Michigan's 10th congressional district. Robert Lugerai. He's a Republican, and he wants to be the next member of Congress. First of all, thank you for being here. Why would you ever want to leave your job as a prosecutor working for Pete Lucino to be in Congress?
Well, thanks for having me, Charlie. And yeah, look, I believe in American exceptionalism, and I believe in this country, and I am born and bred in this district, and so this district in particular deserves someone from this district representing them, and so I have a story that's only possible here, Charlie, in America.
Why Congress? You could run for city council. You could run and do a great job. You could run for state rep, county commissioner, sure. A lot of things.
Well, I'm not waiting on the sidelines anymore. We need strong leadership in the House. We need someone that's going to have President Donald J. Trump's back every single day, push forward the America First agenda. I have the education, the passion, the will, the work ethic, and the integrity and character to represent the people in this district. And my family escaped communism, Charlie, and came to this country and worked hard labor jobs. I come from a blue-collar, middle-class background, and that's exactly the type of people that you want in the halls of Congress, someone like me. And so my whole life has been predicated on service, Charlie. I was a prosecutor, and now I'm giving up my job and giving up my pension to be the voice of the people in the 10th district. So I'm very excited.
You're not working right now? You're giving it up to run?
I'm all in to run for this seat.
You got another year left, don't you?
Sure, yeah.
Let's talk about some of the issues. We talked about affordable care, health care. What's the best way to have? You, even as a Republican, believe that everyone should have health coverage, right?
Yes.
How do we do it? What's the best way to do it? If we get rid of the Affordable Care Act, should we?
Well, the worst way to do it is to have government-run socialistic health care, Charlie. So I do believe in free markets. I believe in free enterprise.
People can't afford it.
Well, you know how they're going to afford it? They're going to afford it when you allow them to not have government-run health care that's
What does that
bloated.
mean, government-run health care? They run the Medicaid program because that would be the default, wouldn't it?
Well, sure, yeah, and the Medicaid program would run well, but we have a lot of people that enter this country illegally that are on the rolls of that, and so that's actually increased the price of that. But if you want to give people power, monetary power, Charlie, let them choose their own health care by competing across state lines, by having a health HSA account, and so giving people like power to shop around and giving them the money to find their own healthcare system and letting people compete across state lines is really going to drive that price down.
Do you think that this 43-day government shutdown is going to hurt Republicans in your election?
Well, I think you should ask the Democrats, is it going to hurt them? Because
I'll ask them too.
Yeah.
But what about because here's why, because Republicans control the House, the Senate, the presidency, and a lot of people are blaming Donald Trump.
Sure, I think it's called the Schumer shutdown for a reason, right? You need 60 votes in that Senate to keep the government open. And so the Republicans have voted numerous times, Charlie, as you know, to pass a clean CR. And the Democrats did the same thing in the previous administration. But the fact, you know what they suffer from, Charlie? Trump derangement syndrome, if you've heard of that. And they want to constantly just impede the president, and they want to hold the American people hostage because, you know, to save Obamacare. And they should have kept the government open because there's a lot of good Americans, especially in this district, that suffered under this shutdown.
Do you need Donald Trump to win your race?
Well, if he's listening, and I hope he does watch you and your show, Charlie, let him know that I would be pleased to have his endorsement because he's going to have a loyal, strong fighter in the House of Congress. Even
in if you're assuming you win the primary,
sure.
Even in a general election, you think that having Trump's endorsement would help you in your district?
It absolutely helps because his policies, Charlie, are moving this district forward, this state forward, and this country forward. This district has been decimated by actually both Republicans and Democrats, right? Trade policies, economic policies. And for the first time, Charlie, we have somebody in the White House that's putting the blue-collar, hardworking American people, the family that I come from, my neighbors, my community first. And so we need someone that has that type of mindset to put the American people first. And Trump is getting the best economic outcomes.
Let me give you a couple
country.
of foreign policy. Are any limits on supporting Israel?
Well, President Trump is leading on this, right? And so obviously Israel is an ally of America. That's a great relationship.
Do we give too much money to Israel?
Well, Israel does support America. Israel does help us with intel. Israel is a partner in helping get rid of and decimate Hamas. And so we're not against the Palestinian people.
Do you support a Palestinian state?
Well, I support what President Trump is implementing. He wants peace on both sides, and he wants peace and prosperity. And you know how you get both parties to engage in peace and prosperity? Back to the economy, right? You get these people trading, and you get them interacting with each other on a trade basis to try to bring some equilibrium to that area.
How much input should we have in the Ukraine?
Well, I think America is tired. And look, we like being the moral compass of the world, and we always should be, and we should never be afraid of it. But where's Europe, Charlie? Where are these other European countries? We're always putting our dollar behind things, and we're always putting our people in foreign countries. And so I think part of that America First doctrine is making sure that we care about our taxpayers first, we care about our military, we care about our government. But we need the partners, especially in Europe, to start pitching in and playing a part and bringing parties together. So people take advantage of our kindness.
You got 10 seconds. Make your pitch. Why should you be elected the next member of Congress in the 10th District of Michigan, Macomb County, and a little bit of Oakland?
Sure. I have a heart for service. I care about this district. I'm the only candidate that I can garner, both on the Republican side or the Democrat side, that's born and bred in this district, and it deserves a hometown fighter. And I'm never going to let the people down in this district. I'm never going to allow the president down. I believe in conservative values, and the halls of Congress are not meant for elites. They're meant for the son of a dishwasher and the son of a waitress.
And you'll come back and do a debate at the time, right?
I'd be happy to, Charlie. Thanks for having me.
Robert Lugerai, candidate for Congress, a Republican in the 10th District. Thanks so much. All right, we're going to dive next into the health care issue. It's driving the shutdown, and the people's premiums could skyrocket, supposedly, if those Affordable Care Act subsidies expire. What needs to be done and what solutions will work. The Pulse, back in 3 minutes. It is people, power, and politics. Welcome back to Detroit's only nightly political talk show, The Pulse. All right, here to dive into the health care issue, including those Affordable Care Act subsidies, Maureen Taylor with the Michigan Welfare Rights, and Dr. Michael Bushweda, a Metro Detroit plastic surgeon who also serves on the Wayne State Board of Governors. Thank you two for being here. Maureen, are you seeing people getting concerned now that they might not be able to have health coverage?
Folks are already starting to receive letters to say that the premium and the monthly amount that they pay is going to go up quite a bit. Today already I heard where HAP Insurance is bowing out of Detroit. I got a lady that called me earlier today from Welfare Rights that Molina is leaving. So there are already problems with health care, and the amount of money that people have to pay is frightening. Yes, it's already started.
It would seem to me, doctor, as a doctor, you would want the more people to have insurance, because I would think, correct me if I'm wrong, that Molina and HAP and Blue Cross and all would pay a lot more than the alternative, which is going to be Medicaid.
That's
True?
correct.
So you agree with the Democratic plan then? What's the it's just getting people coverage.
I'm going to repeat three of the greatest lies in the last century. If you want your doctor, you can keep your doctor. If you want your insurance, you can keep your insurance. Your premiums are going to go down $2,500 a year. They went up 221%. And then it was passed on the premise that you got to pass it to see what's in it, and then we'll read it. Well, guess what? Now they've read it. Not only have they read it, but it's proven to be a failure. It's proven to be a failure.
What's your alternative? What's the alternative plan?
We got to get the government together, the Republicans and the Democrats, and we got to push it more into the private market. What she said is true. I think, to my knowledge, I think Blue Cross is the only system in Southeast Michigan that still covers Obamacare plans. Part of it was predicated on the fact that there was a mandatory enrollment. A third of the people who didn't have health insurance before were young people who could afford it and didn't want it.
But Maureen, let me ask you though, don't you, how can you keep the prices from going down without government? You want government? Why don't we just have a national health care? Why don't you advocate for that, or are you?
Let me just say that I did not realize that I met this gentleman a long time ago.
Yes.
And I liked him then, and I like him now. But he's still wrong.
He wasn't your doctor.
He's still wrong.
He wasn't your doctor.
He's still wrong.
He's still wrong.
He's mixed up as usual, okay?
Yes, yes.
But I still like him.
Yes.
All right. We live in a country where the opportunity for people to have food, to have shelter, and to have health care seems to be going astray. What the hell is wrong? We've got a wonderful doctor sitting here next to me,
yes,
and he does not require people to write a check to give it to him in order to do health care. But hold on.
Go ahead.
There's a problem with the way we address this stuff, and in America, it's sickening, and there's something wrong in here if we don't understand that people that live here need to have health care, food, and
who
shelter.
pays for it? The issue,
We
all
always
agree.
pay for it. Nobody asked me about spending money to pay for wars.
But why should
Nobody asked me that.
No, I understand. But
I want my money to go for him and to make certain that people have access to health care. That's not rocket science.
If we don't have a premium, if you can't pay your premium, Medicaid is the fallback.
Then that's the fallback.
Well, then
There's
you're
fall
okay.
back on it. It should be Medicare for all.
Are you okay with Medicaid for all?
No, that's a disaster. You know what drives me crazy, and I see this every week? They drive up to my office, they got a Mercedes, they got a Louis Vuitton purse, and they want me to take care of their complications because they just flew back from Colombia where they've had breast augmentation and Brazilian butt lift. That's fraud, that's cheating, that's stealing from the system, and it's widespread in the Medicaid system. I'm telling you right now.
It's not widespread in the Medicaid system. It's widespread in the folks that you know. Rich people always argue. Poor people have too much money. Rich people don't have enough. This is not rocket science. You and I just fixed this issue out in the hallway. But Americans, people that live here, and people that come here ought to have access to health care. And if not, there's something wrong in your heart. I know you've got a good heart, so stop talking crazy.
Are you talking crazy?
No.
All right.
I don't know of a single instance where somebody who needs health care can't walk into the emergency room. Nobody asks them questions and denies them care because they do or don't have insurance. They get they get care, period. I've done surgery all over the world. I just came back from 2 weeks in Africa doing surgery, charity surgery. Everywhere I go, they got a national health care program. Why is it they need us to go there if they've got national health care?
Are insurance companies making too much money, doctor?
Well,
say yes.
You know something?
It's a simple yes or no question.
Just say yes.
Since Obamacare was enacted, their stock prices have gone up 500 to 1,000%. So I would assume yes.
So is the problem then, or maybe should the regulation be in the insurance industry? Because you guys well, I don't know if you're making a lot of money. You might be a different thing, but are doctors making as much money today as they did maybe 10 years ago?
We don't keep up with inflation. We're way below inflation in terms of the raising. The median salary of a physician in this country is $240,000, $249,000. It sounds like a lot, but when you've spent 16 years of your life training before you get out and you come out with $400,000 debt with 7% interest accruing compound, it's not a lot.
But you're different. You flew all the way to another country to help someone that didn't have money. All the doctors are not like you.
I know, but
they're not like you. And that's the problem. Everybody ought to have access to health care.
But he can't.
And all these conversations about here, we're going to fight
Maureen,
this, we're going to fight food stamps
Maureen,
over here.
I don't want to beat a dead horse, but you're saying basically the rich are going to have to pay for the poor.
The reason the horse is dead is because the horse didn't have health care.
If the horse was rich, they'd be okay.
That's
There's
what
a
happens. Poor
discrepancy.
people have too much money, or rich people don't have enough. That's the reason the horse is dead.
All right.
Horse couldn't get to the vet in enough time.
Is this going to be it would seem to me that it's going to be a very big political issue, and I don't know who's going to come out on top over here. But I'll tell you what, it seems to me if people can't have health care, it's going to hurt the Republicans because they're in charge.
It's going to hurt the whole earth.
Well, it's going to hurt everybody politically. We have 30 seconds left.
Measles all over the place.
Right.
Mumps all over the place.
All right, let's get about 10 seconds closed. Go ahead, doctor.
So President Trump is a proven businessman. He solves problems. He's solving problems all over the world. Give him a chance to get the private sector in here to put together a plan and get the government out of it, because the government's always got fraud, waste, and abuse.
10 seconds, Maureen.
The needs of the many must always outweigh the needs of the few. And I'm quoting James T. Kirk and Science Officer Spock. That's all we need to live by.
All right, that is the Pulse for tonight. Thank you for joining us. I'm Charlie Langton. Have a good night. He was Republican.